Yeah, so this is the road up to the Lotus Creek Wind Farm. You can see it off here in the distance. Those high ranges, quite dense vegetation. Yeah, so we've just driven through a whole sea of cleared land, and we're making our way up the top of these hills. That's where the wind farm's going. Yeah, and this is going to be turned into a huge, big haulage road. So it's going to be widened, and the componentry for these big wind farms will come down these roads, and there'll be new roads punched up through all these mountains off in the distance. Yeah, so this is what it's about. This is green energy, friends. Yep, smashing up all these little beautiful remnant pieces of forest. We're on the Lotus Creek Wind Farm site, and we've just found a koala. This is just incredible. It's so amazing. So really nice, healthy. He's just woken up actually. He's up in the tree here. Beautiful old growth remnant forest. Really healthy looking koala sitting up in the tree. We know that there's koalas here. Greater gliders, great beautiful understory, old growth remnant forest, never been touched. There's no weeds in the understory. Beautiful, beautiful forest, and we're going to carve it up for a green renewable energy. This is just insane. This is what's happening. So all you people out there in the cities that are pushing for green energy, this is what's happening in North Queensland. We're carving up our remnant forests. What's left, the high altitude areas, the places that haven't been cleared for agriculture, urbanisation, industrialisation, and we're carving them all up now for a new industrialisation called wind. Yeah, just woken up here at the Lotus Creek Wind Farm site. Stunning night last night. Multiple koalas, a lot of females with cubs on their back, greater gliders, rufous bettong. You know, I've been involved with the conservation sector for so long now, all my life, and the places like this were supposed to be protected under the Vegetation Management Act. It's just...
Well, Steve, you go looking for wildlife and beautiful places for a living. That's what you do. You take some wonderful pictures. They appear in your annual calendars. What did you think? I mean, is that a rare experience for you to walk into somewhere that's so rich in koalas as Lotus Creek?
Yeah, what you saw there was the first koala that we saw on our first trip. I've been there twice to Lotus Creek, and the diversity there is off the charts. It's what Australia used to be like 200 years ago. So the understory in really mint condition, good condition, and the koala densities there I've never seen anywhere else in Australia except for somewhere like Kangaroo Island off the coast of South Australia where they've been introduced. So I've never seen the densities of koalas like that anywhere else in Australia. In actual fact, when I came back home after that particular trip and read the ecology report that Susan Lay read when they did the first survey, they found 101 koalas and 138 greater gliders within the project area. And those densities are just amazing. You don't see that anywhere else in Australia, really. And it's not only that, there was animals like rufous bedongs, reptiles, we saw snakes at night. And like I said in that clip that you just saw, whiptail wallabies, swamp wallabies, eastern greys. And I quite often go out looking for greater gliders through bushland quite regularly. And up here in North Queensland, you'd be lucky to see 2 or 3 a night. And that's doing a lot of walking, a lot of spotlighting. On my recent trip there just a few weeks ago, I found 10 greater gliders within a few hectares around my campsite on that project area. So 10 greater gliders and 3 koalas. 2 were female mothers with cubs on their back. And that's just extraordinary. And that was only looking around for half an hour. And you don't normally see that density of wildlife usually anywhere else. Well, I've never seen it anywhere else in Queensland or in Australia, really. Yeah, so it's a really special place.
So we've got the environmental report. We've now got your first-hand evidence. You've been there, you've seen it, you've come back with images. There is no doubt whatsoever that this area is rich in native wildlife, including the koala, which is, it's by far the most threatened species, as you know, in this country, but it has an iconic status and people really don't want to see it harmed. Can you see, let's just try and be as generous as we can. Is there an argument that the benefit from the renewable energy on this site, the wind turbines, and the benefit that will have in reducing our carbon emissions, do you think the Minister could argue that that benefit is greater than the benefit of keeping the koalas?
Well, the simple answer is no. The whole concept and idea of destroying what's left of our high biodiversity for renewable energy or any energy source, I don't really care if it's coal seam gas, coal or oil. If they're going into areas where there's significant ecological values, well then, like Susan Ley did with her decision, was refuse the application. And that's my philosophy. After 200 years of colonisation of Australia, we've cleared so much land. So much land has already been degraded, cleared and diminished. And now we have things like koalas and greater gliders that are actually now endangered. When Susan Ley knocked back the Lotus Creek development 3 years ago, the koala and greater glider were listed as vulnerable. They've actually been upgraded now to endangered. So that's even another reason why these projects should not go ahead in areas where there's rich diversity and dense populations of koalas and greater gliders. So they're now classed as endangered. So, what do we need to find on the site? Do we need to find a thylacine on the site for Plebiscite to reject this development? Going back to your question, should we be developing high biodiverse habitat for renewable energy? Well, it's a complete oxymoron. We can't be clearing and pushing species further to extinction and thinking that we're going to save the climate and the planet. It completely doesn't make sense to me. You can't do both.